right, Golan Globetrotters, welcome back. And we might not have much backside for you this week, but we definitely have some side boob because it's Blaxploitation Week 2. There's a lot of boob. There was a lot of side boob in there.
There's a lot of boob in here. What are you talking about?
There's a good amount of full frontal, but there's also a lot more.
Not full frontal, partial frontal.
Excuse me, yes, partial front. But there's definitely a lot of side boobs, like in all the backstage modeling scenes.
Yeah.
I counted 14 side boobs.
Your mom would not have let you watch this movie as a child.
No, probably not.
And not because she's racist, it's because she doesn't like boobs.
Yeah, there wasn't enough violence in it. More violence, less boobs were A-okay. So, Murray, we're going into a name I forget very often, Friday Foster.
Friday Foster.
Okay, nailed it.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
Releasing it on a Thursday.
Releasing it on
Giving you some Friday.
This is confusing already. Now, this is actually based on a comic book strip, so this is...
Comic strip, yeah, newspaper comic strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is technically a comic movie then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and Marvel needs to take notes. More side boob.
More That's what they've been missing.
Black Panther could have used some side boob.
They could have used a couple side boobs. And last week we made the claim, Blaxploitation movies, they're wonderful. You just sit back, they write themselves, they wash all over you, you feel so clean, and it's like coming out of that spa with your little cock smock on. This movie, however, I think you said it was The Thinking Man.
Thinking Man's Blaxploitation movie. I was telling Griff, I have a strong suspicion maybe Agatha Christie or some mystery writer punched the script up. There's a lot of twists, a lot of turns.
So many twists.
It confused both of us. I had to fix a lot of your notes because I was like, no, that didn't happen.
Oh man, I was struggling in the first half.
But it all seamlessly comes together at the end.
Really
you're like,
does.
okay, I get it. I know what this movie's about.
It's like when I construct a grilled cheese sandwich over here with an egg. There's a lot of dishes happening. You're like, how is
grilled
this
cheese
all
with an egg? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's because it's not technically a grilled cheese. I've been yelled at before. It's
a fried
melt.
egg?
They would call like a fried egg. People would call that a melt at that point.
When I think of melt, I think of tuna melt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't had tuna fish.
All that
in years.
matters is it's bread, egg, and cheese. It's a simple sandwich. Unlike this movie, which is not a simple sandwich. It's a very complex sandwich. It's like a Reuben.
It's got complex flavors.
It does. It's got that delicious bread on the outside. What do they use? Rye on that?
They use rye on a Reuben.
It's a good bread. It's a very good bread.
Some Russian dressing. All that good
stuff. We're talking sandwiches today. What was the movie? Yeah, sandwich movie. Murray, let's talk about some familiar sandwiches. We got all kinds of faces that we even saw last week.
Yeah, a lot. If you're not a racist, you'll recognize a lot of these faces from not only the movies we've covered, but from bigger movies. I mean, we got Carl Action Jackson Weathers.
Oh my Lord!
Pre-Rocky, even. This is like probably one of his first movies he ever did.
Yeah, the inclusion of his name in the credits was, I don't know, it stood out to me like, oh, this must have been one of his early films.
Yeah, and then, of course, we got sex goddess Pam Grier.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And
Dr.
Pam Grier, Esquire.
Thank you.
We got, from last week, he played a villain, Harvard Blue. He's a hero, Colt Hawkins, Yaphet Kotto.
He's pretty great in this movie.
He is great. Yeah. And I was pissed off. He was the only guy who didn't fuck Friday in this movie.
They had a weird connection. Like, they were into each other.
I think they respected each other too much.
I think they're saving it. Like they both know they're ready to. They're like, I still want to fuck other people, but when they're ready, I think they're gonna hitch up. It's like that murder, fuck, kill thing people do. Murder, bang, no, bang, marry, kill.
It's like, fuck, marry, kill.
Fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, that's almost as convoluted as plot. We got Ted Lange from Love Boat. If you remember him, Isaac, the bartender. No, you probably didn't recognize him, Griff, because when he was Isaac, he had a giant mustache.
Oh, really? Oh.
But no, he plays a pimp named Fancy.
Oh, that was okay.
We have Scatman Carruthers from last week. He played Duke the Pimp with a crazy-ass wig that didn't fit his head. And now he's bald and beautiful as Reverend Franklin in this movie.
And he does not like the boys. He likes the ladies.
We have not a new actor to Blaxploitation, but a new actor to Blaxploitation History Month, Thalmus Rasulala. who was in Blackula. A lot of blaxploitation movies. I remember him fondly as Raj's dad on What's Happening.
Nice.
Deadbeat dad would show up every once in a while.
Oh.
I'm trying to think. Is that it? Did we get any? We got a guy who we might be talking about next week. We haven't really figured out what we're doing next week, but Godfrey Cambridge, who we might be talking about next week. He's in this, playing a delightfully homosexual character.
Oh, yeah.
Totally non-offensive.
There was something about...
Actually, he wasn't that offensive. He played it... I was going to say he played it straight, but he played it. And that was not a prepared joke. It's a plethora of African-American talent in this movie.
And just like in last week, a custom-made theme song that fits
they don't do that enough, Griff.
like a glove.
We were saying
like Bond movies. That's
Bond
really it.
Bond movies are the last theme song movies.
Yeah.
It used to be like all movies had theme songs.
Like nowadays, you can pretty much predict what the theme song's gonna be. It's like if it's an action movie, it's probably gonna be like 5-finger death punch. I don't know.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
If it's like a teen movie, it's probably gonna be like Vampire Weekend. Get some of that poppy, rock in there. Can't think of what else. Is there any other type of movie out there?
Rom-com, that would be like some chick singer-songwriter stuff.
Marvel's got to, of course, appeal to everybody, so they're going to use some kind of like probably Rolling Stones or what do they? The Iron Man, Black
Sympathy
Sabbath.
for the Devil, the most overused fucking song.
Just something that's so played out that it has no relevance to anybody anymore.
Like an AC/DC song or something.
Exactly. But no, we got a thick-ass theme song.
Yeah, that's the thing. Those are just songs that people already know. These songs for these movies we're doing are original songs for this movie, and it tells you all you need to know about Friday Foster.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I keep saying that. That's the
you guys heard it. It was the opening song. You know how great that song was.
But there's so much detail. There's no detail anymore. All these movies, all these black stuff, this movie especially, so much detail. Again,
detail that you don't even need. It's just like it's not like everything now. Everything has to be pertinent to the plot. If you see something, it plays into the plot later on. This one, you just have totally colorful characters in the background. He's just a background character.
Exactly.
Nothing.
It's like when you play an old video game and everything's very static, and then there's one thing that stands out like a sore thumb, and you're like, well, I guess I need to pick that up.
Exactly.
So that's movies now. We're talking
because they're why, Griff? Because there's no artistes making movies anymore. They're just a factory. They just churn them out.
Andy Sardaris would be rolling in his grave right now.
Andy Sardaris probably punched the script up too. Well, I know he did because there's a hot tub scene later on.
Definitely. This is an Andy Sardaris movie.
Yes,
it definitely is. We ready to hit that Andy Sardaris trailer?
Yeah, we are because Griff. All I got to say about this movie is TGIF. Thank God it's Friday Foster.
Never fear. Pam Grier is here.
Oh, thank you, Jeeves.
And she's running with a heavy crowd. Godfrey Cambridge.
A marvelous girl.
Eartha Kitt.
A black goddess come to Earth.
Yaphet Kotto.
She's just all woman.
You're my main man.
Scatman Crothers.
I hate sister here.
Hey, what you doing, girl?
Thalmus Rasulala.
You've got guts.
Hey, buddy, what you doing?
Ted Lange.
Heavy.
In Friday Foster.
Like who is Friday?
Well, first, I'm a woman.
Did you get it under your skull, Friday, that your life is in danger and that somebody's trying to kill you?
So you're out of the slammer. I thought I wouldn't see you until visiting hours. How was the bread and water?
You got something for me, Colt?
I might look into something for you in Washington, D.C. tomorrow.
Well, all right. When do we go?
You're not going anyplace. No way.
What you doing, girl? Hey, what you doing?
It's open season on that Super Sister. And every stud and his brother is out to put her down. Or shake her up. But she don't dig their game.
I'm delivering the milk.
Fancy, there is nothing you have that I want. and I don't hustle for nobody.
Hustle?
You have lost your mind.
My ladies don't think that their nigga has lost his mind. With them bad rags, each one's got her own personal health and welfare plan.
You better get out, get out, get out. On the double. You entertain in the middle of the daytime, too? Friday, Friday, get it on. Friday, Friday, come on, girl. There's an army outside with enough guns to start World War III. Friday, Friday, come on, girl.
She's everybody's girl Friday. Foster.
Welcome back. Great story. Great story. Great trailer. But I was trying to say, great trailer. It probably explains the whole story.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy's name is who does all the blaxploitation trailers, but he has the best voice.
I do love it. It's great.
This sister will fuck up all the misters. Friday, Foster.
Well, just like you said it, someone's got to call that sister because they need some fucking photographs taken.
Yeah.
So we get a nice cold opening of a man going across.
We first get a little scenic montage of DC.
Oh yeah, got to get that. DC,
And then we go immediately to LA. So I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was jarred by that. I was like, how long does a helicopter take to get from DC to?
Not a lot, according to the movies we've done. It took how long for the New Orleans to Alaska with
3 hours
on deadly ground?
That was just enough time to have a drink and like a quarter of a
And
rotisserie
Parsival, he drove a motorcycle from Alaska to there's a wormhole apparently in Alaska to New York in like 3 hours.
He did in 3 hours too. So this is oh yeah, we do our montage, and then we
open up Mr. Riley, who's
Mr.
the
Riley.
editor of Glance magazine, where
Glance.
Friday works.
Yes.
And he's first of all he's trying to get in touch with Sean North, his hotshot photographer, and it's New Year's Eve, people, so he's getting laid. He doesn't have time for
He's too
work.
busy. He's partying.
So his next best option is Friday. So he calls her. She's getting ready to go out a night on the town because it's New Year's fucking Eve, people.
Right. Everybody goes out and fucks on New Year's Eve.
So they call her up. Her brother Cleve picks up. We thought for a second it was their son, but no, nobody wants to fuck a single mom. So it's her little brother. And he's like, hey, sis, the HNIC's on the phone. And she's like, what? The head black person in charge. He didn't say black person. And she's like, oh, okay, Mr. Riley? Yeah. And then Mr. Riley's like, look here. Blake Tarr. She's like, the Blake Tarr? Yes, that Blake Tarr.
The millionaire.
Billionaire.
Billionaire.
The richest African-American in the world is flying in. I just heard he's flying in L.A. tonight for something big.
Why is he coming back home? No
I
idea.
need you there Friday to get some pictures for our magazine. But do not get involved. Whatever you do not get involved. I know you will fuck anything you take pictures of. Stop that.
You can just see it in her eyes. She's like, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to do it.
She can't help it.
It's the same spunk you see in her little brother, Cleve. Like,
Right.
We see it throughout the
Well,
movie.
we see him while she's talking. He goes into this little closet. It's his office.
Yeah.
He's counting his money. I gotta believe there's probably a little peephole into the bathroom through that closet, and he's taking pictures of his sister naked and selling them to kids on the street.
Oh man, you think he's that?
Yes, he's that much of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He sees that there's a market that's not being filled, and he's filling it.
I'm not willing to say you're wrong about that.
He's a hardworking guy, man.
Yeah. So Friday gets ready. She grabs her gadget bag. She's got her camera and everything, and she gets another call.
Yeah.
And Cleve calls out to her. Hey, Cloris wants you now. What? Cloris answers. Cloris, what's up? Don't do it. Don't go. I need you here. She's like, I gotta really.
Cloris is at a party too.
Yeah. She's like, I got a really big night tonight. Like, my career is going to explode.
This is the big break I needed in my career because he always goes to Sean, usually.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I really need to talk to you. Sorry, girl, I can't do it.
I absolutely need your help. It's life or death. Yeah, it can wait. Like 14 hours, it'll wait. So?
She makes a beeline to the airport.
Yeah.
Blake Tar, he's got a private jet. He's landing. And while that's going on, we see Carl Weathers. And he's dressed like a cop. So like, oh, Carl Weathers, we know he's a hero. He's always a hero.
Oh, yeah.
He's Apollo Creed.
No, it just makes sense.
And then he walks up to another cop and then some scummy-looking dude.
Yeah.
And he's got like a brown bag. And he opens it up, and they're like some like World War II guns. Like they're like Lugers or something.
Yeah, they were like Lugers.
And
I'll have you know, the second time you watch this, you look at every character differently because of a scene we'll talk about later.
Okay. And so he's got bullets. He hands them out, and we're like, "What's going on here?
What's Carl up to? Those
He's
aren't police issued. Those aren't wildies."
Right, those are not. And then Friday she arrives, and she knows what to do to get behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
So she goes up to the she actually a little racist herself. She goes, "Hey, Leroy," to the guard at the security, and he's just like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you're not Leroy." He's like, "Yeah, I know. We're not all named Leroy."
Oh.
And she's like, "Well, I got some champagne. Some champipple," as Red Fox, France Efron would say. That's champagne and Ripple.
Oh, gotcha.
And he's like, "God damn, girl, do whatever you want. Just leave me this bottle.
Just hop in there," because she says, "I'm gonna go get Leroy, and I'll come back and we'll party." All of us together, and she's like
three-way.
She's fiddling with her, blouse a little, letting a little cleave show.
She's done a lot of cleave show, and I don't mean her brother.
Yeah, I just put that together when they said it. I was like, oh no.
And he's just like, you got to remember, this is pre 9/11. You could do whatever you wanted in an airport.
Exactly. You could shoot off fireworks if they had drones back then. You could fly them around right while planes are taking off.
So he's like, yeah, baby, just go do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna get drunk. I'm gonna get a buzz on before we start fucking.
So she's making a beeline for the hangar. She happens to know exactly the hangar that
That's how great of a photographer she is, man.
But Carl Weathers and his crew also know the exact hangar. So what happens is Friday ends up on like the second level, and so she's got a real nice look of everybody getting together and like setting up.
Yeah, they're all spreading out. This looks pretty sketchy.
And there's police to escort Mr. Blake Tar off his plane, but they're not situated correctly. So Blake Tar lands, steps.
As soon as he walks out the door, bam! Shot right. Shockingly, in his right shoulder. Usually shot in the left shoulder in an action. Right shoulder. That means it's deadly.
Yeah.
And it was Carl. And I'm like, what?
Carl Weathers?
And then a shootout just breaks out. And Friday's is taking pictures. She's getting it all.
Yeah.
And one of the Carl Weathers gets away. One of the other guards gets shot, but he also gets away. He jumps in a car. Did you notice this? There's a boring car chase, but fortunately it's not. It's quick. But there's the scene. He grazes a car and it explodes.
Dude, that one. It was. I don't even know what to call these cars because I'm so bad at cars. But it was like up the tailpipe. Was that the one you're thinking of where it's like the backside of the car just like ignites?
And he doesn't even hit the back. He just scrapes the side.
I was so confused.
I don't think even paint came off of it.
I was like, did he flick a cigarette? And it was...
I think it was Gator's car, man. 'Cause his car would blow the fuck up.
That would explain why it was pink.
It wasn't a Pinto, too. And then he gets to Cloris's. We're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Apparently, he's Cloris's boyfriend. He staggers in.
Again, so confused. So confused.
Staggers in, collapses, and dies.
Cloris is devastated. She's yelling something about Black Widow, and you're like, what the fuck is all this talk about Black Widow?
We don't know, but we do know about Fancy.
Yeah,
because
this is the next day.
Friday goes home. Her brother's Cleve's hanging out on the front stoop of the apartment building.
This is how old did you say Cleve is? 12?
Italy, yeah.
He's got to be like 12. He has all the good gear on. He's got a beautiful bike. They didn't even have pegs in the 70s. He's got 2 sets of pegs on his bike.
Wow.
Reflectors, baseball card hanging there. He's got it all. You're like, man, this kid's living it up. I mean, we already know about his role, his fliff.
I think he's Obama.
It might be.
That's how together his shit is.
So we're about to learn about how he gets this bankroll. Because Fancy rolls up, and
this is the biggest pimp. After we discussed the power vacuum in the pimp world last week, thanks to Truck Turner,
big time.
So there's moves, power plays happening, and Fancy's wanting to take over. And he's like, well, if you got to take over, you have to have the baddest ass bitch in your stable. And
you see, we talked about how detailed all the pimps were last week. It was beautiful, everybody. Beautiful. Go back and listen to it if you haven't already. No. This week, we get another pimp with his own style, own everything. He drives in 2 separate cars. He has his own car he drives in.
He's got like a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, like one of those super expensive cars.
He's got a phone in there, of course.
Yeah. And he's talking to his host on the phone behind them. So they're like in a Cadillac.
Yeah, they have their own car. And a detail that I noticed the second watch through, they have white leather seats in the ladies' car, and stitched into the leather, a Black Widow. Interesting.
That might come into play later, huh?
So, of course, Fancy's got to go over to Cleve. He recognizes Cleve. Cleve's cool. He knows Cleve's the little brother of Friday.
Well, he bought some naked pictures of Friday from Cleve, so he's like thinking he thinks like your pimp hand's pretty strong for a little boy. Like he's thinking he's her pimp.
That's how he knows so much about. That makes sense.
Yeah. He's
probably got all kinds of Cleve's probably making like baseball cards.
Yeah, he's like, look, Cleve, I want to buy her off of you. How much?
He's probably interviewed his sister to get like her Playboy questions out there. Yeah, turn on and turns.
And Cleve's like, look, man, I'm not my sister's keeper. Well, I got some perfume for her.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is this cheap ass shit? This ain't Gucci. And he's just like, hey, young blood, just take it up to her. Let her know Fancy wants to talk to her. He's a gentleman. He's like, I'll stay down here. And he's like, okay, I'll take your cheap ass perfume.
Yeah.
Runs up, immediately goes to that little office/closet of his.
Yeah.
Puts it away. He's got like a shelf full of all this shit. If he stole it, he got it from Fancy. We don't know. But he's hustling like a motherfucker.
It just so happened that Friday was actually getting ready to leave at this time. So she's heading down.
She's got a big fashion show she's got to help Sean North with.
Yeah, so she's heading downstairs already. And that's how Cleve is going to get away with this little ruse here. So, of course, she runs into Fancy, and she's looking for a taxi. There's no taxi in sight.
No Ubers. This is 1975.
Exactly. So, Fancy strikes, he sees the opportunity. He's already put his hand around her waist. He's been like, look, you're wasting all your talents. And he's sizing out her body. And he's, like, giving a lot of cushion for the breast because, well, yeah, Dr. Pam Grier's... She's got large breasts.
Yeah.
So...
I agree.
He's like, you ain't waiting for no taxi. There's no way you're waiting for a taxi. Why don't you hop in? I don't remember what he called his car, but it had some kind of cool name. The Stinger?
The Black Widow?
The Black Widow, maybe? Yeah. So, very conveniently works out. Fancy drives her over to this fine party.
Did he? I don't even remember that part. I thought she just told him to fuck off. They didn't really show it. Okay.
Yeah.
She told him to fuck off, but in a playful way. We can tell they've got some history. They're friends, even though he's pimping out women.
Yeah.
But she's like...
Whenever he's with his ladies in front of Friday, he does not refer to them as prostitutes. He refers to them as his good friends.
Yeah. Well, he goes, my bitch, I mean my lady.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, so, we'll just say takes her to the fashion show.
No, it just jumps to Cloris here.
So, Cloris, is she on the phone with Charlie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's just talking to this guy named Charlie. Black Widow, I can't handle this. So whatever, her boyfriend, he's dead. And we're like, who's this Charlie guy?
Who's Charles? What's Black Widow's coming up again? What is going on?
But we don't have time for that, because now we're back to Our Lady Friday.
And she is in the middle of this beautiful garden.
It's like a pool party.
Yeah, it's like a pool party.
And there's going to be, she's at Madame Rena's, played by Eartha Kitt. I forgot to mention her. She's most famous for being the Black Catwoman on the Adam West show.
Oh, nice.
And she was great. And they're doing a fashion show because Glance is hard investigative journalism and fashion.
Yeah.
And so she's assisting Sean, the main photographer for Glance magazine. And I got to call it, Griff. Sean's one of the good ones for this episode because there are no good white people in this movie.
There is two white characters.
This is the closest we get. He's giving Friday all kinds of shit.
Yeah. He is a shit.
Yeah, well, he's feeling the heat because Friday's so much better at her job than he is.
She got those beautiful shots, It was great.
And so they're like have a little argument, but it's playful. It's like with Fancy. Everything's cool. Nothing's intense in this movie.
And Murray, we get to meet a new character here.
An old character from Us.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause we talked about him last week, but in a new role as a hero.
He is a Colt.
Yaphet Kotto,
Yaphet
Colt
Kotto
Hawkins,
as Colt.
PI.
And
she's like, did you catch this line? She's like, I didn't think he was the swishy kind. He's like, what are you doing at a fashion show? Like, with a straight man, she couldn't be at a fashion show.
Oh.
And he's like, please, I'm working.
Oh, and then he looked
like he wanted to shut that down. But it's interesting because there's later on a scene I want to get into that kind of maybe he is a little swishy.
Oh.
But anyway, so he's like, no, I'm working. This is this bitch over here cheating on her husband, you know. And she's like, oh, nice seeing you. Everybody, you know, she knows Colt, apparently. They're old. They probably grew up in the same neighborhood.
We get all the connection we need there in a few seconds because, wow, we're just moving at the speed of light here.
And
90 minutes.
He's like, I'll be over here. While that's going on, we know it's a familiar face. Yarbrough, Carl Weathers, is also at this party.
He's also at the party.
And
he's looking great, too. That suit he was wearing.
Yeah. Didn't he have like some shades on, too?
Oh, beautiful shades. I mean, he's got to wear the 9s when you go to a fashion show.
Right.
You got to look the part.
He's fashion.
So,
Madame Raina comes out. She gives a little spiel.
Hold on. Because Friday's got to go talk to Cloris first.
Oh, did she?
She goes backstage to talk to Cloris.
Okay.
And Cloris wants nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
She is livid with her. And so she's like, fine, fuck you, you know? Try to help out.
While that's going on,
my
we're
own
seeing
life.
tons of side boob in the background.
Yeah.
Because it's the models getting ready for the fashion show.
So she's like, well, you know, shit, I got work to do. I got to get back out there. And this is where we get Madame Rena coming out to introduce all of the talent.
It's not only is it a fashion show. This is a work of art, Gruff.
It is.
It's. I think it was called Sapphires and Sisters. Was her show was called?
Yes.
And then women come out do some crazy ass voguing. I think is what they call. They're like,
yeah.
And,
I think that sounds right.
And
we're a couple fashionistas. We know our words.
Well, I'm just remembering the Madonna video. But that's like 30 fucking years ago. But it was voguing. Because they're striking a pose, as the Madonna song says, and everything's going good. And then, like, where is our main model, Cloris? Where is she? Where's that bitch?
I forget. She has a call for her. The ladybird sings from the east wind. And Cloris doesn't come out. That was her
She's
cue.
doing the same rap that Dorinda was doing last week. We call her toll bridge. You gotta pay to get on and pay to get off. And then she comes out and like something wrong. What's going on?
Yeah, you just see her face pop out and her eyes are just like they're wrong. Everything's off about her face. She's losing her color. Like everything is off about her.
And there's a quick cut to where Yarbrough was sitting and the table's empty.
It's empty now. What's going on? What's going on? So Cloris takes a few more steps. She's completely revealed behind those curtains now. She starts to lift her hand, and then suddenly she collapses on the ground.
Lift her hand 3 times.
Yeah. Well, that's what. I want to call him cunt. Colt. Colt. I always call him
Cunt Hopkins.
I don't know why, but yeah, Colt comes over.
Because he's not a cunt. He's great.
Checks the 3 count, and then he realizes she's dead. I think this knife in her back killed her. Everybody.
And Friday's like, I don't know. Let me see. Let me talk to her. She's like, Friday, Black Widow.
So, Colt is going to take care of the situation. He's going to handle everything because he is, of course, a police officer.
Well, he's a private investigator.
Oh, he's PI. Okay,
Yeah.
excuse me.
He probably was an ex-cop because he has connections with the cops
You're right.
that show up later.
Good call.
The cops show up and Colt.
That's right. And this is where we get Chips, the lieutenant of the police force.
Yes. Always has a bag of chips with him.
Always eating.
But that's, once again, great details. It doesn't play into the plot at all, but it's a great little character thing.
He even had a catchphrase. Do you remember that catchphrase?
Yeah, I need a beer.
I need a beer. Every time Colt would be like, I think I'll handle this one. He'd be like, yeah, of course you will. Ha! I need a beer. Love it. I love it.
They're questioning
Rena.
Madame Rena, and she's like, I know who did it. It's this fucking little fag. She said fag. I didn't say it. Named Ford Malott. He steals all my designs and sells them to Walmart.
Yeah.
Fuck him. He did it. He's been wanting to steal my #1 model. It's him.
Fast fashion is ruining the world. It's ruining fashion. It's ruining
life.
everything.
It's the Donald Trump of fashion.
Not only that, he had Cloris coming and going from L.A. to D.C.
And they're like, that sounds interesting. That might play into the plot later on. Yeah.
So we ponder on that for a minute as we cut away to, oh shit, Yarbrough. And he's got a new disguise on. It's Mailman Yarbrough.
Yeah. And we're like, mailmen, they're good people.
Yeah, that's why I love them.
Sleet, snow, all that shit.
Exactly. And so he's got a package and he's delivering it. And
Cleve at his usual spot at the stoop of the apartment building.
holy shit. He's delivering a package to Friday?
Well, I think a lot of people in this movie deliver a package to Friday.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, he's like, hey, young man, I have this. I need a signature. It's for a Friday Foster. It's some camera equipment.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, she's upstairs, man. She's taking a shower.
Yeah. Just hop in there.
And he's like, interesting. Yeah, well, where is it? What's penthouse apartment?
I think Cleve.
There's a lot of rooftop scenes in this movie.
There is so many. I was going to talk about it in the episode. Yeah, there's so many. But
this is the first.
Cleve does at least have like a little test he puts him through because he, like I mentioned earlier, he did the Playboy turn on, turn off. So he just said,
he's like, you gonna wear rubber?
That's a turn on or turn off?
No, he's just like, because I don't want any little kids stealing my.
Well, no, Cleve gave him the quick test to know that, his sister would like him. Even though he's just a mailman. Cleve still puts everyone through the test.
What are you packing?
Yeah, what are you packing?
4 inches from the ground?
No, he simply asked, what's better, dogs or horses?
I don't even remember that. Did he ask that?
No, I'm making this up, Murray.
Okay.
So I'm just layering it in.
Okay.
So, no, none of that fucking happens. Mailman just walks right up. He does he goes.
Well, I guess, he doesn't go to the door.
Yeah, he goes to the fire escape.
Well, meanwhile, this is going on. We're getting some sweet jug action from Pam Grier taking a shower.
Of course.
Totally gratuitous scene.
Of course. Friday came early in this movie.
Yes. A lot of things came early in this movie.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, we're getting some boobage, and we're going back and forth with her and Yarbrough.
Yarbrough sneaking in through the balcony. You got wind blowing, curtains everywhere.
And he's like looking in. He's like mesmerized. Like
showers wide open. Curtains not even closed.
No.
Water's everywhere, by the way.
And so, like, if it wasn't Pam Grier, he would have killed her by now. But he's so mesmerized. He's just like staring. Blah, 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 blah. And she like opens the.
It's with all
the phone was ringing. That's
it's
what
with
happened.
all this tension that then the phone rings and he's like, "Oh my god, do I?"
She's
answer
like, "Cleve,
it?
can you get the phone?" And like the first time in the movie, Cleve's not there to answer the phone.
Yeah,
so she knows something's up.
So Pam reaches. Well, he's always hanging out downstairs. Yeah,
hustling his house.
Exactly. So Pam reaches out, grabs herself a towel, throws it on, steps out, and holy shit! Oh no, it was when she takes one step out of
standing in the bathroom.
Yeah, she takes one step out of the bathtub, and he comes charging through because he went over the bathtub.
You got a switchblade.
Yeah, of course, switchblade. Beautiful.
And
weapon.
now I know that he's evil because only evil people use switchblades.
Oh, yeah.
And she flashes him, and it stuns him for a minute, and she runs past him.
Yeah.
And she runs down the hallway of the apartment building, screaming for help. Of course, nobody helps her.
No, of course.
And then, as luck would have it, a young mother with 3 young children is going into her apartment. She goes around. Kid almost breaks his neck doing a double take. He's like,
oh my god, yeah.
He's like, ha ba ba, ha ba ba, ha ba ba. And then the lady's like, God damn it, Friday. I thought that I was going to have at least a couple more years before I had to talk, had that, the birds and the bees to talk with this boy.
Oh my god.
But your damn titties have mesmerized him. He's useless.
I thought we asked you to stop having men over before 12:30.
And then Carl, Ben runs around the corner, hides the switchblade. He's hiding it behind the corner. He's like looking all nonchalant. He's like covered in sweat and shit.
This was a well-shot scene. I loved it.
Well, why didn't Friday say something? Like, can I get in your apartment? This guy's trying to murder me.
She's stunned. I get it. I don't know. I'm happy with this scene the way it is because they lock eyes and they're just staring at each other. And Carl Yarbrough is just slowly walking down the hallway. And then the camera is opening up, and we see that the staircase is actually to Friday's right. So he just turns right by her and goes to the staircase. And it was like, holy
Well, yeah, because he got ID'd by this woman, so you can't kill her now.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But still, that scene was awesome.
It was tense.
Great scene.
So, cut to
Colt and the lieutenant.
Colt and was he a lieutenant? I don't know.
He was a lieutenant.
Okay.
Lieutenant Chips.
Lieutenant Chips. And they're like, he's just like, Chips, he's so engrossed in his chips and his beer, he's ready to close the case. He's like, Cloris, bitch had to be dealing drugs.
Yeah.
Case closed.
Because Friday called them over after, the whole
because
attack.
she's a journalist. She's inquisitive. She wants to know.
Yeah.
And she's like, no fucking way. I've known this girl my whole life. She was about selling her ass, sure, but not drugs.
Yeah, because that's what Chips is trying to pin on her.
Right. Well, he just wants to close the case. He's just like, I need a beer.
You're telling me this girl's hanging around with senators, with black tar, with...
Well, yeah, he's like,
Blake Tar.
He's like...
God damn it.
He's like, ooh, this is a lot about you, Griff. And he's just like... Look, all I know is we found this invite to this huge gala in D.C., and nobody who's as innocent as you say they are would be invited to this.
It's a cocaine party. We all know it.
It's an orgy. That's all they do in D.C.
You literally have to strip down and wear nothing but a cock smock and tube socks.
It's some fucking eyes wide shut shit.
Yeah, and also they get from they order pizza from Ping Pongs.
And she's like, no, that's bullshit. I'll prove it. Let me have that invite. So he gives her the invite. Cut to the funeral of Cloris. Everybody's there. Hawkins is there. Colt Hawkins.
Yeah.
Friday's there. And another person's there.
Yarbrough again?
Another fucking fly suit on.
He's in the background of every scene.
Yeah.
I really like Carl Weathers in this movie. He's great.
And she, a classic like movie thing, she can't tell... Colt, I was gonna say cunt now, you motherfucker.
I know.
He can't.
All
he's
these
like,
names are too slippy.
He's like, she can't just tell Colt like, hey, that's the guy who tried to murder me. She's like, I'll be back, and then she like sneaks over and starts taking photographs of him. He totally sees her doing it.
Yeah, and so in between the time it takes her to lower her camera from the lens view of it to lowering it, Yarbrough is gone. And you hear a car start up. You're like, oh shit. What's going on there?
And she's like, fuck, this, I can't let this lead go. So she has no car. She rode with fucking Colt. So she just jumps in the nearest hearse.
Yes.
I think the body was still in the back. And she just takes out the body, flies out the back.
Yeah.
And then we get a pretty boring chase scene.
Yeah, really boring chase scene. In the interim, we see Colt and Lieutenant Chips talking to one of the funeral people.
Now, is that potato chips or California Highway Patrol chips? It could be both.
Murray, he had various chips. He had those munchy chips that were awful. They were just like dry-ass potato-y.
Some Ruffles. He had some salt and vinegar. He had it all.
Oh, he did have a new chip in every scene.
I love that. And I bet you that actor, like, that wasn't in the script. Actually, like, no, my character loves potato chips, and I'm going to have a different bag every time.
Yeah, he probably walked over from the service table for every scene.
A hack would have donuts because that's the hacky thing for a cop. He's like, no,
I love it.
Mine loves chips.
You are right. I love it.
Yeah.
So they're talking to the guy who was supposed to be driving the hearse because they're like, how does a hearse go missing? Who took it? And he's like, actually, it was this beautiful black goddess.
Dusky goddess. She was approximately 5'7".
Yes.
Light complexion.
Oh my God.
Brown eyes.
Beautiful hair.
36, 24, 36.
Absolutely.
Double D.
I quickly noticed that she really does seem to be turned on by
balconies,
jazz radio, and balconies.
I'm assuming she swallows. He just had it all. He just knew everything. And they're like, "That's Friday."
Colt knew it. He's like, "That's my girl."
He knew
Friday.
it when he heard Double D. He knew it. And balconies, because he knows she's a freak for balconies.
Yeah, the balconies, definitely. Balconies and, rooftops.
Yes, exactly. Rooftops especially.
So we go back to this chase, this boring-ass fucking chase. It's just going everywhere. And it's even slow.
Yeah, it was a very...
I didn't get it.
Low-speed chase.
There's no ramp. There's no nothing. It's just... Yarbrough finally makes it to an abandoned factory.
Yeah.
And he whittles up there somewhere. And so Friday, with nothing but a camera, I was like, well, I'm going to go into this creepy...
She's brave.
...fucking rape dungeon and see what happens.
And as luck would have it, or unluck would have it, Yarbrough is hiding there. And
he doesn't expect her to show up. Like, he was surprised when he hears her.
You know, he leaves his car right there.
Yeah.
It was a low-speed chase. He's like, what are you doing here? So he attacks her.
Yeah.
He just panics. He's like, I guess I'll just kill you here. And there's a scuffle involved.
Yep, and it just so happened I was playing the dummy here because in that gadget bag, you know, a Friday carries some high quality military grade bear mace.
Yeah, well, yeah, she likes to go. Another one of her turn-ons is hiking.
Oh, okay.
So she needs her bear mace.
That makes sense.
And she sprays him in the face. I thought it was some of Fancy's perfume, but it was bear mace.
It was bear mace.
Okay, maybe he gave her that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. So she makes a beeline. She's trying to get out of here now.
Right.
Now that this has happened, she's like, I got to get out of here. Just so happens there's a couple cops waiting for her.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that about?
One of the cops, I'm pretty sure, played the role of Styx on a very special episode of Happy Days where he was going to get married and the racists were like, we don't want black people. And then Fonzie's like, this is my friend. Fuck you. And then they got married at the Cunningham's house.
Wow.
And then later, this is a true story, the actor who played Styx turned up in porn. Sad ending, but that's what happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Friday, well, of course, these cops catch her doing something suspicious. So
and he was like, what are you hiding? And just squeezing the Charmin, getting all up on those tits. And she's like, those are my breasts. I don't have breast cancer. Can you leave me alone?
Well, what about your chi? Is that aligned?
And
it's pretty in shape.
Yes.
I do yoga.
And she's doing good. All right. Whatever. Get that lump checked out.
But they do take her to jail.
Take her to jail. But our man Riley, the editor of Glance Magazine, bails her out. And he's like, you and your sweet little ass, what are you doing? I said, don't get involved.
Don't get involved.
While they're talking, Sean shows up. Hey, I've zoomed in on those pictures you took at the Blake Tarr assassination attempt. You recognize this guy?
Of course I do. That's the guy.
And they're like, holy shit, this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
So
Colt comes in now, and we got Riley, we got Colt, we got Sean North, we got everybody in the scene. So we're getting
only a good white guy in the movie we have. We have everybody.
So we're getting a lot of information passed around here, and it comes to light that Cloris was good friends with Senator David Lee Harper.
Yeah.
David Lee Harper.
David Lee Harper.
Was
okay.
that it?
I don't know.
That might be it.
I just said senator in my notes.
Yeah, so did I.
So,
but yeah, DC connection. The DC montage to begin with. How are we going to get to DC?
And then she's like, and then I have this invite to this party that's tomorrow in DC. Maybe we ought to check it out.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, Millie. That scared Millie. Riley does not want Friday doing any more of this business, but Friday convinces him. Like, look, this is my friend. I need to prove that she wasn't dealing drugs. I need to go to this party because it sounds good. I like cocaine.
She's like, remember Ford Malat that Reno was talking about? We need to meet up with this guy.
Yeah.
So she sets up a meeting. Just so happens he's a gay gentleman. No, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But the meeting is at a gay bar. And that is freaking Colt out.
It really is.
He's just like, there's a band in drag. It's every cliche you'd expect from a 70s movie.
It really is.
And then we get the great Godfrey Cambridge, and he does a good job with it. He didn't make it too obvious he was gay, but he was just like, girl, what are you doing here? Stay out of this shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I bet my friend Cloris, I got to find out who did this. Black Widow. Yeah, I need you to get me into this party. This was what I thought was weird because she has the invite, but she still needs Ford to get her into the party.
I don't know. I don't know why, but yeah.
Well, they needed some excuse to meet Ford Malat.
For sure.
And he's like, girl, just stop. Get married. Do your straight shit, whatever you straight people do.
Have some babies, you know.
You do not want to get into this eyes wide shut world that I'm involved with.
Yeah. It was when she starts talking about the Black Widow that he's like, nah, back out now. Get the fuck away.
And then she's like, oh, fuck you, Ford. She just gets upset, walks out. Colt's like, hold up a minute. I'm going to stay here a little bit.
Is this what you think?
Yes, because he gets nothing from this meeting. Like, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to beat the shit out of Ford and, like, get some info. He gets no info, Griff. He's just, he's waiting back. He's like, I'll meet you at the car.
So you think he's curious?
Yes, I think he's like, I like what I see in this world.
It's very
and
subtle.
that explains why he doesn't fuck Friday, because one thing every man in this movie has in common is they all want to fuck Friday. I don't know if they're like a fucking 5-year-old or a 95-year-old. Everybody wants to fuck Friday except for Colt.
Maybe it's because he knows about Cleve, and he's like, I don't want to be a father figure to that kid.
He does not like Cleve. That's true.
Yeah,
but
they have a warm friendship. So they get the questions, but outside, what's Friday up to? She's just wandering.
She makes a call, doesn't she, to somebody?
Well, I don't remember.
Or she's just wandering.
No,
okay.
she was just.
All right,
she was trying to hit. She tries to get a taxi.
Well, yeah, and it was while they were having that meeting with Ford. There's another guy. I'm assuming he's gay. It's a gay bar. Who's like checking out. Well, I thought. Great details. I thought it was just like a bad gay joke where he's like checking out Colt because there was this guy staring at him and making goo eyes at him.
Even when they were talking with Ford, he was like peeping behind a curtain.
Yeah, there were some beaded curtains.
Yeah.
And he gets in a car and tries to run Friday down.
What the fuck? So he's chasing Friday all over the place.
Well, not really. It's just this one area.
It's like a narrow. It's not that narrow of a street, but he's like having. It's like that Austin
Is it even
Power
a street?
scene.
It looks like a construction area.
It was the weirdest setup ever. But it just so happens that there was like a tunnel that was partially gated that Friday is able to squeeze into, and she thinks she'll be safe in there. But the guy drives his car in. And then he takes a sharp right for some reason into a loose electrical wire that is just sparking up.
I think it was like an electrical box or something there. I think it was the same one that operates all the elevators. I saw a screwdriver.
You saw a screwdriver pop out when he hit it?
Yeah, and he gets electrocuted.
Ugh.
That's it. I guess that was enough. You see like Colt coming out, pulling his pants up, like running out. What's going on here?
You see, it was subtle at first, and now it's not so subtle.
Yeah. And she's like, I almost got killed by this guy.
What?
So, so they're like, okay, all right, we're going to that party. We still have the invite. I don't know why we were talking with Ford at all. It makes no sense. I don't know why I was hanging back unless I was doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And while that's going on, Ford immediately, as soon as they leave, Ford runs to a phone booth. Because it's pre-cell phone day, guys. Even a powerful man like Ford Malott had to use a cell phone.
I mean, Fancy had a car phone, but Ford doesn't.
Yeah. And he's calling Blake Tarr. And you're like, what? It's like, what is going on with this movie? You remember Blake Tarr from the beginning of the movie? The richest black man in America, billionaire.
Dude, no idea.
Last time we saw him, he was shot in the shoulder.
This is crazy. What is going on?
And he's like, look, there's this Friday chick. She's looking into this Black Widow shit. And he's like, okay, cool. And while that's going on, our buddy Yarborough shows up again. He's driving a semi. And just backs the semi, crushes Ford to death.
That was...
I don't know how Ford did not hear or see this semi.
I don't know how Yarborough is like this figure where he's just like shows up everywhere and just murders everybody. But I fucking loved it. So,
you know what? Well, what I love, a nice Eyes Wide Shut party. And that's what we get with this next scene.
I hope they've all got their cocaine vials because I want this party to go all night.
And did they sprinkle any cocaine on Dolores at her funeral?
You know, we were too busy looking at Yarborough to notice.
Okay.
So
she shows up, got the invite. Colt is pretending to be her chauffeur.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make it look like she's this really powerful woman.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, she's supposed to be Cloris.
Right.
Supposedly. But she immediately goes in and introduces herself as Friday.
Wow.
So.
Well, she still fakes the guy out. She's like, here's your invite, and then she drops it because it says it's for Cloris. But, and he picks it up. He doesn't care. He gets paid the same. He's like, go in there.
I don't know.
As soon as she walks in the door, our man, Scatman Carruthers, Reverend Franklin, makes a beeline. He's like, ding. Everybody wants to fuck Friday in this movie. And even a man with a cloth wants to get down with that shit. And he's like, oh, hey, young woman, you want to pray? Do you
I got a king-size bed, so there's room for you, the Lord, and me.
The Holy Trinity.
Holy Trinity.
And she always thinking on her feet. She's like, oh, yeah, well, I'd like to interview you. I work for a religious magazine. And he's like, oh, really? Well, I would, if you'd like, you could go to my compound, Jericho. That's not going to play into anything later on. And he's like, he's just skeeving on her ass. And
he really is. And, she's putting out those signals like, oh, somebody get me out of this conversation. She's looking to make eye contact with anybody else to come interrupt. Well, apparently she threw out the right warning signal in the right direction because here comes Senator David Lee Harper.
David Lee Roth.
And
he's like, hey there, Panama. And he's like, he's like, when I saw you, I might as well have jumped. And so he's just like, luck would have it, this is the next guy she wants. This is who she wanted to talk to. He knows about Cloris.
Yeah, this is her connection to Cloris, yeah.
So he's just like, hey, let's go outside and chat a little bit. While they go out, this other black gentleman walks up.
Murray, you got to calm down here. You're telling me we introduced 3 new pivotal characters in about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it's a 90-minute movie, Griff. We don't have the luxury of a 3-hour Marvel movie.
Okay, so let's go ahead and spell this out one last time. Cloris is connected to Senator David Lee Roth.
Yes.
So she meets him by coincidence.
Reverend Franklin.
And she meets right up with Reverend Franklin because he wants that ass. And then we meet this other Charles guy who could also be Charlie, who Cloris was supposedly talking to on the phone.
Yes, I'm saying that.
Okay, guys, that is a hefty sandwich.
I'm immediately suspicious of Charles because he's one of those nerdy black guys.
They also do that shot of him when they leave. All right, Senator, make sure to give me a call. And then he does that peer in the camera, the camera does like a Star Trek zoom in on him, and I'm like,
well, he also goes, yeah, if you ever need any help Friday, just call me. Just say, hey, ask for Charlie.
Yeah, that's.
And then I'm like, where have I heard that name before?
Where?
Suspicious. So Senator David Lee Roth's like, look, I just want to get to know you. I want to talk to you more. Let's go back to my place. So
the sweater I'm wearing, it's a little too stuffy. And
it's just chafing me.
It's just
this mock turtleneck I have. Ooh, it's just it's giving me hives. You mind if we go back to my place?
My other place.
And we were talking about this earlier. Friday, power is her ultimate aphrodisiac. After hiking, balconies and rooftops, it's power. So they go back, and she's just like, I need to know about Blake Tarr. He has all the answers, doesn't he? And he's like, look, what are you talking about? Murder, Blake Tarr? He wasn't murdered.
Yeah, what? This is adding more confusion to this.
Yes.
I probably should have wrote so many more notes about this, but I was so confused trying to figure this all out. And by the way, while the audience is Friday. She's trying to get this all sorted out, and he is trying to fuck her. So we're muddying up details with swinger moves.
Yeah, he's just like power play. That's all I can tell you. It was a ultimate power play.
Yeah.
The fake assassination attempt.
Doesn't he point his finger at Blake? He's like, you know what? It's probably that Blake guy. Blake's probably.
I don't know. But what I do know is that we can't trust Charles, because the next scene we see. By the way, they fuck. In the next scene, we see Charles talking to fucking Mr. Howell from Gilligan's Island. Also, call back to last episode, the white Mr. Magoo, because he did the voice for Mr. Magoo. And like you said in your notes, he's Weinsteining it up. He's just playing for our sympathies. He's in a wheelchair. He said he's got stage 4 lung cancer. He's just but he's still an evil white man.
He really is.
And we learn that
this is the only other option we had for a white person.
Yeah, and he's awful. And even though he's only in this one scene.
Yeah.
But we learn that, and this is like, I get what you're talking about. It gets confusing because we learn that Senator David Lee Roth, who thought he was Bernie Sanders, that he was taking like just small donations from black voters, was really getting bankrolled by Griffith, this character, this white guy.
Isn't this shit fucked up? This makes sense. This almost seems parallel to a world we live in.
And straight from the headlines.
Ugh.
And so we learn that Charles, he's not working for the brother man. He's working for the other man.
Yeah.
Because he's all about the green. He don't care about black. Green is beautiful in his world. He's sold out. He is working behind the scenes with this evil honky Griffith.
Ugh.
And that's all we see of Griffith from here on out.
And he concludes his scene with, the senator put a bug in her ear that Blake Tarr has all the answers. And then they cheers over Blake Tarr.
He does a little Mr. Magoo for us.
I like it. So
FF and Colt, go back home, Griff.
We got to go to a nice rooftop breakfast.
Yeah, everything happens on a rooftop.
This is an awesome scene because you get to see a little bit more into the relationship of Friday and Colt because they're just sitting there. Colt's got the shirt on. He's got one button right above the crotch attached. That's his shirt I'm talking about. He's blaring it. Peck jelly? Yes, please.
Tastefully, though. It's a little dab.
And then he's staring down at something. You're like, what is he looking at?
In this utter disgust.
And what is he looking at? He's looking at Cleve prepare a nice bowl of cornflakes, and he's got the bag of sugar next to him, and he's just slowly pouring it in there.
And he's like, look, kid, that ain't cocaine. That's sugar.
Hey, why don't you put a couple spoons of sugar in your cereal? Cleve responds with the classic line, well, I don't want to ruin it with too much sugar.
Need a little cornflakes for that sugar?
Oh.
I had a friend who was like that. He would put that much sugar on his fucking... He put on Frosted Flakes. I mean, it was like...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They're already sweet enough.
Exactly. And so a little comedy bit. While that's going on, Friday's talking to Mr. Riley, her boss. He's like, don't get involved, that sweet little ebony ass of yours, lady. He's always talking about her ass for some reason.
He really is, yeah.
And she's like, look, I'm in too deep. I'm not pulling out. And she just hangs up. And then Cole's like, that was your boss.
Yeah. Just calm down.
Yeah.
Let's breathe it through. Look at this rooftop. Look at the air. Let's breathe it in. Let's pretend to care. Let's call your boss back. And she's like, you know what? You're right. I should pretend to care. So she's going to reach for her phone again, but it's already ringing. She assumes it's her boss, grabs the phone. Riley, I am so... Friday, this is Rena. What are you talking about?
This is Rena. Get back here.
She does have that voice.
Yeah, that's why she was Catwoman, because she has that kind of feline voice.
That makes so much sense.
Get back here. I have something to tell you.
Get your ass over here, girl.
Like every movie, I can't say over the phone. You have to get here.
Yeah. Plot by inconvenience.
So they show up. As soon as they walk in the door,
Rena walks out behind like a big curtain.
I'm going to tell you. She was like, for the first time in movie history, she's immediately going to tell them what they need to know. As soon as she says like 3 words, Yarborough comes out, shoots her in the back.
He's still got his Luger-looking gun. I love it. I love it. Carl is... He walks between dimensions. That's the only thing that makes sense to me here.
Yes, that's the only way he can get from like DC to LA in like 3 hours.
Murray, we started up our own meetup group just to talk about what Carl Weathers is in this movie, and it went great. We have 4,000 people there, all talking about
maybe. Hear me out here. Maybe you remember he was in the movie Predator. Maybe he was in cahoots with the Predators, and he has a spaceship.
Carl Weathers.
Because he was a villain in Predator, too.
That's the reason he didn't want to fuck Friday, is because he had his dick replaced with some kind of Predator devices.
Okay, all right. I wouldn't go that far, but okay.
Look, I don't...
Anyway, he runs off because he's like, a rooftop needs me. So he runs for the nearest rooftop. Colt chases after him. While that's going on, Madam Rena... Get a pen and paper. I have something to tell you.
You need to write it down.
Write it down. I can't. It's too important. And then I love it. She tells her like a phone number. That's it. Like you think there's gonna be all this shit. I have something about Black Widow to tell you.
Yeah.
So while that's going on, we get an extended. The one thing boringer than a car chase is a foot chase. We get multiple rooftops. They're leaping.
Yeah. There's 4 rooftops. And there is a moment where they both take cover, and Carl gets his gun out, and he starts shooting at Colt, and Colt is just like, what the fuck am I doing
I
up
love
here?
that. He almost looks at the cameras like, what the fuck am I doing here?
I love there's just so much character and detail with 90 minutes. 90.
And so Carl, luckily there happens to be a board laying, because there's one gap that's way too big even for Carl, and we learned in Action Jackson. He had the high, the high jump record. He has
Yeah.
jump record in his high school.
We also know that Carl has been working with Predator, so he probably has some kind of crazy leg muscle.
And he also beat Rocky, so he's got it all.
Is that why he beat Rocky? Is because of the Predator technology?
I never thought about that.
Dude,
Fixes in.
we just figured everything out.
And so he puts a board across it and walks across, and then
during that little walk across,
Colt shoots him.
Colt tries to shoot him. He misses.
Oh,
It's like,
did he?
come on, he's walking down a plank. Some PIUR. So he chases
more
him.
like PU.
More like PU. Chases him. Apparently, Carl is out of ammo, so he turns around and, hey, when fisticuffs comes a calling, you come cuffing. So he puts his gun in his pants.
Totally dripping with sweat, Yaphet Kotto. Totally out of shape, motherfucker. Ripped as fuck Carl Weathers, and like they're going back and forth. Like,
Yeah.
no, Carl Weathers would lay this motherfucker out in real life. But he can't. I guess the Predator technology wasn't like working back then. He
Yeah.
didn't figure it out, so he started malfunctioning. So he's like, I got to grab this board and hit Yaphet with it.
So Carl takes a punch. He falls over onto a pallet where a board is loose and broken. So he grabs it slyly, and Colt is walking over to claim the kill, and Carl juts up and hits him with the board in the gut.
Yeah.
And it's looking like he got one over on Colt.
But you know what the problem is, Griff? Because he's emulating his hero, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he has to use the catchphrase. And that's all the time Colt needs. So he goes, "Ho, tough guy!" And just he says tough out of his mouth. Colt just shoots the fuck.
Just
He's
shoots
him
him.
like 50 times.
He shoots him.
At least 50. I counted 50.
I thought he was out of ammo, but no. He's out of ammo. He shoots him dead. So, he's going to run back in to see how Rena's doing. She's dead.
Yeah, bitch is dead, but she gave us all his info. Look, here's a phone number.
Here's a phone number.
So she immediately goes to... People get murdered. Nobody calls in. I guess he was standing his ground. So I guess it was a fine kill.
Right. I mean, there's probably somewhere on the cutting room floor another scene with Lieutenant Chips, but...
I think Lieutenant Chips was there. I don't know. But so Friday goes to the phone, calls this number, and they're just like, go to the top of another rooftop, go to the top of the Citibank building. And she's like, okay, whatever you say. Yeah, this sounds really fucking sketchy, but...
She gets right in. She uses her old Leroy bit with the champagne and let's party later. It's the middle of the day, but, the guard's still like, yeah, go on up to the roof. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, whatever. I get
She
paid the same.
gets up there. She closes the door behind her. You hear it click. You're like, oh, fuck. She's stuck. Yeah. Why do we need to click, though? Turns to her right, one guy walking at her. Turns to her left, another guy walking at her. She's panicking. She's trying to open the door. Then we hear a chopper. And you could tell it just came from Alaska. So she's freaking.
Well, you can see
out.
somebody in there wearing buckskins and fringe.
Fringe.
So you're like, is this Forrest Taft? No, it's better. It's the Black Forest Taft. Blake Tarr. And she's just like, I thought you were dead. And he's like, oh, really? Why would I assassinate myself?
Yeah. So why don't we hop on this helicopter and go back to my place?
He's like, I'll explain Black Widow to you. I believe the senator, David Lee Roth, you fucked him. He might be involved. And so they go back to his place. He's like, look, baby, before we get into the details, I want to know about you.
Just tell me about you.
But I found that I always do my best thinking in the hot tub. So Friday, always quick to get naked. She's like, let's do it. So they leap in the hot tub. She's just like, well, I like balconies. I like rooftop engagements, as you saw earlier.
Yeah, I'm a Gemini.
So I am fucking you because of the rooftop. I'm a Gemini.
Horses, dogs, cats. I like them.
Not sexually.
And, of course, powerful men with a lot of money or in political positions.
And I swallow. So that guy was right from the hearse. He was just assuming.
He was assuming.
And he's like, I like the sound of that. So we get the most sensual peck jelly she-sheen scene you've ever seen.
Well, yeah, he's rubbing her legs down.
With some she-sheen, I want to point out.
Yeah.
Because you saw that perfect glow.
Yeah. Oh my God, the glisten.
It
can almost destroy a camera lens. Like you have to put so much like soften, like filters over it. Ugh.
Yeah. And they fuck. So after your nice night of fucking, you want to get down to the nitty gritty. You're like, all right, Black Widow, what the fuck is this about? I don't know. I forget how, but we just found out that whatever it is, it's happening on Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, that's 2 days away.
Oh God.
And so, fuck. Colt and Friday. Colt calls up Friday.
So it's the next day, and we don't get any.
Well, she disappears for 2 days. Like it's the next. When she meets up with Colt, it's Valentine's Day.
Oh, it is Valentine's
Day
Day.
Because she's like loving the fucking.
So she somehow got back home or whatever. We just know that.
I think no, they're still in. Are they in DC?
They're in DC.
So
they got back to her apartment. Excuse me.
Well, no, it would be a hotel room.
I said apartment. I meant hotel.
Yeah.
So whatever. We just joined Colt and Friday. They're driving into Washington. They're actually going to go meet the senator in his office. And yeah, Colt is very pissed off.
Yeah, he's like, you've been gone for 2 fucking days. I thought you were dead. You just bailed on my ass.
You couldn't call. You couldn't write. Letter's not getting there in time. That's my point there.
Yeah.
And also, how would she know where he's at? Maybe he's at the same place.
Yeah, they're at the same. Well, maybe they save it separate.
She would have to keep the address though. There's so many problems with that.
So, so they go to the senator's office in D.C.
And of course, Charles sitting there in his car.
He's been tailing them the whole time.
He's just watching them with disgust, like, oh, what are these people doing?
And we get this. The only person in this movie that doesn't want to fuck Friday is this bitchy ass secretary. Well, and she's like, "You ain't seeing anybody, motherfucker."
I like that she didn't want to fuck Friday, but he did want to fuck her.
Well, yeah, he's got some straight up blue balls. He thought he was gonna bang Friday. Like he's like, "Damn, man, she's easy as fuck." Like, and then she disappears in 2 days. He's like, what am I doing?
So they get a lot of information out of this bitchy card, though, because they get one big clue. Well, he said something about the walls tumbling down.
Does that ring a bell with you? Does that mean anything? They're like, no, not really. And then they're walking away. She's just like, remember that John Cougar Mellencamp song? And the walls come tumbling down, and the walls. That song's awful, but it reminds me of the Walls of Jericho. You know, the move that Chris Jericho, professional wrestler, uses.
Absolutely, that's
finisher.
just what I was thinking. Reverend is a huge fan of Jericho. He tells me about it all the time.
He's all about the bubbly.
He's all about the bubbly. He told. Oh my God.
That's why he named his compound Jericho after Chris Jericho, the wrestler. Even though he's probably 2 years old right now in 1975.
Holy fuck! Let's get to the car. Rush out the door, and Colt notices there's a lot of people hanging around his car, and he's like, Friday, I don't like the look of this. Why don't you go around back? I'm going to go confront these guys. They don't know me, so I'll play cool, and then I'll beat the fuck out of them for getting anywhere close to my car. So we got a plan. We follow Friday, and she hops into, she heads over. I think she tries to make a call to Blake.
She does.
And it doesn't get through, and she sees this milkman get out, and she's like, man, I really don't like how this is going to show up in the papers, but I'm going to steal the fuck out of this milk truck. So
jacks the milk truck.
And then we cut back over to Colt, and he is handling those gentlemen around his car perfectly. He's at this point, we don't even see a fight. We see the tail end of the fight, and he's just slamming a guy's face into the hood of his car. That was wonderful.
So did Charles took off after Friday, right?
Charles did take off.
Okay, he jumps in a car because he sees Friday in the milk truck.
He doesn't follow Friday. He had left.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because Black Widow's happening today, and he's involved with Black Widow.
Exactly. So we see Friday drive by Colt's fight. And she's like, instead of getting a car with him or making sure his car, he's following her or whatever, she just says, hey, I'm going to Jericho. Follow me. Takes off. Okay. Colt goes to hop in his car. He's like, I'm right behind you.
Charles did the old banana in the tailpipe from Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, doesn't work.
But as luck would have it, Blake happens to be driving by.
Ooh.
And he's like, get in the car. I loved it. Like, you could tell, like, he was pissed off that Blake got the fuck Friday and he didn't. And he's like, fuck you. You'll tell me what to do,
he was so
motherfucker.
upset. I'm trying to fix my car. You almost fucking hit me. What the fuck? He's got his gun out in the middle of D.C. He's just waving it around. Oh, my God.
And he's like, look, I got a better idea. I got a chopper. Let's get to the chopper.
Yeah, let's get to the chopper. So, Murray, we have not figured out. Like, we kind of have an idea of what
all I know
is
is this Black Widow is happening on Valentine's Day, which is today.
Did
you also notice we're in Washington, D.C., and there's leaves on the trees, and it's February. Valentine's Day is next week.
Wow.
And it's like sunny.
I did not consider that. Yeah,
Yeah.
D.C. is very sunny for Valentine's Day, February.
And very leafy.
Very leafy. So we finally get a cut to our villains.
Charles shows
straight
up.
up villains.
They're like, I think they're outside of Jericho.
They're outside of Jericho.
Okay.
They're getting ready, and he's got oh boy,
Ridiculous.
oh boy,
oh boy,
oh boy. All of our senators from the 70s and 80s are doing their favorite activity, putting on blackface. So you got all these white dudes smearing.
Yeah, this is probably where they got the idea. That's what that guy should have said. I thought it was the governor of West Virginia or something like that. He should have said, I saw it Friday Foster. I thought it was cool.
Murray, there's like 18 people at
so
this point.
they're wearing, and it's like literally they're putting on like black shoe polish on their face. It's total Al Jolson. It's ridiculous.
It's
and
bad.
they got like afro wigs on, and there are also some black people there too.
And
but they're not enough.
This is a Charles-led operation,
right? This is Black Widow. They are going to assassinate all the black leaders who are gathered at Jericho for a special meeting.
Oh.
The walls are going to come tumbling down.
So are you telling me that Senator David Lee Roth is working with the Reverend, who's maybe even working with Blake Tarr?
Yes, they're all working together to better the lives of black people.
What the fuck? That's why Blake Tarr came back to L.A. after swearing to never return again?
I'm confused. So did Blake fake his assassination so he could figure out what Black Widow was and stop it? I don't understand why he faked his assassination to begin with.
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't think the writers have any idea.
I have no idea. And Carl Weathers is dead, so we can't ask him. And Charles doesn't say anything. So I have no idea.
We get the blackface. Friday finally arrives at Jericho. She meets up. She gets the spiel because she's like, the senator is going to kill Blake Tarr. And he's like, oh, really? Am I? And then he turns around and it's fucking David Lee Roth. And he's like...
He's offended. He's like, excuse me? I'm going to do what to Blake Tarr? She's beside herself. Senator, I didn't mean to. It's just, there's a whole fucking army outside waiting to attack us, and I thought you were in charge of the army. He's like, what army are you even talking? And
he's
hell
like...
bullets.
Yeah, he's like... Of course, they want to eliminate these honkies. Want to eliminate we got all the black leaders in one place. They want to kill us all. It's fucking bullshit. No, I'm working with Blake Tarr. We're trying to make this world a better place.
So yeah, I don't know what to call them. Let's call them the militia. They start storming the walls of Jericho. They're trying to break it down. They're hailing bullets in there. They're trying to climb in through the windows.
They almost kill Friday, but don't worry, Griff, because they couldn't see the Foster for the trees. So, and this is where I want to say I wasn't cool with this because we're used to Pam Grier kicking ass. She turns into damsel in distress in this movie. I don't like it. I want to see her at least shoot somebody.
Yeah, she does shoot somebody. One person does get into the house, and she grabs a gun and shoots him.
Okay,
but I feel you. I feel 100%. She mostly just like puts herself in very bad situations and then has to run away and then gets groped for it. It's like this is not the usual Pam Grier message.
So we're like, all is lost. We're going to lose all our great black leaders, Al Sharpton, all of them.
Dude, there's so many militiamen out there.
And they're all in blackface, except for a few, because David Lee Roth pointed out some brothers will do anything for a buck, even sell out their own people.
Yeah.
And all is lost. Oh, is it? Because then we hear Chopper just shows up.
Yeah.
Fucking dudes are parachuting out. We got the black militia. And
There's so much good things happening here.
Blake looking like a young fucking black Matt Hunter. He's got the fucking denim outfit on. He's got the Uzis. He's just fucking shooting everybody.
His faces when he's shooting the Uzis is amazing. He looks bored. He's just like, oh, yeah, it's just killing some honkies in blackface. No big deal. This is how I made my first $1 billion.
Charles, being the rat fink motherfucker he is, immediately takes off. Colt's like, oh, no, you don't.
Oh,
Colt
yeah.
chases him. They're like in a swamp.
I have to imagine Colt was like, why am I chasing everybody? Look at me. I'm not chasing people. Let me tackle somebody after like 5 feet.
Well, they didn't give him an Uzi. He just had his little pea shooter gun he
Yeah.
had. So he's like, well, I'm going to beat this motherfucker up for starting all this shit. So he runs after Charles. He's like, I'm going to educate you, motherfucker. 1 + 1 is 2. Punches the guy in the face. 4 +
When
4.
you fuck a lady, you get consent. I don't know why I threw that
I
in
don't think Charles. He's not a rapist.
Yeah, he really is.
He's just a sellout
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Whatever your constituents vote for, you do. No?
Represent your people.
There we go.
People over party.
There we go.
Impeach Trump. He's just doing it all. He's just educating this guy and beating the shit out of him at the same time.
So obviously, the reinforcements take out the militia. They were fighting pretty well.
Because people who are militias are generally fat pussies anyway, so it was pretty easy to take
You
them
could
out.
see that like a couple of them just fell over and then they just called quits and were drinking Mountain Dew. So that's typically how it goes.
So the good guys win, Griff. It's like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Mahomes scores.
Mahomes scores. There's a nice scene where they say, "Hey, Charles Foley's behind it all."
And he's like, I would have gotten away from him if it wasn't for you meddling kids. And they rip off his mask, and it's fucking the white guy. That threw me for a loop.
It was Griffith?
Yes.
How did
it was
that old white man?
Griffith. And he goes,
He did a true Weinstein.
And he goes, lovey. He's doing all his greatest hits. And so all is right in the world, Griff. We learned that black people can stick together.
Yeah.
When there's not one selling them out. And so, Friday, solve the case. We know why Cloris was murdered. We know it all. Back in L.A.
Beautiful L.A.
She's in her apartment. There are presents everywhere, flowers. Every black man in D.C., like every man in the world, wants to fuck Friday Foster. So they're sending her everything. They're doing the fancy move.
Yeah.
Speaking of fancy, he rolls in one last try.
Of course, Cleve's down there. His bike's looking better than ever. He's got the huge banana seat. He's got the ape hangers on there now. His bike is fucking dope as all hell.
It's a lowrider. It's got hydraulics.
This bike is so cool. And Fancy's just like, Cleve, today you will not believe where I went. Gucci. And I got your sister a couple of new gifts. So he's like, oh, shit, Gucci, you're finally stepping up your game.
You're learning.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll go see if she's available. So he runs up there. That's when we get the surprise that there's all these fucking elaborate gifts in her apartment. He's just like tosses it in there because it's shit now.
Yeah.
She's got everything else.
Actually, it said, if you looked at it, it said Bucci. It wasn't even, it was knockoff shit.
Come on, Fancy.
Yeah. Thought he could fool her.
I'm still not convinced he's not really Black Widow.
It could have been. That could have been the sequel. That never came. So Colt shows up. He's like, you ready to go dancing, girl?
Yeah,
She's like,
go
sure.
dancing.
And he's like, I know the perfect place. No kids allowed.
Oh.
Looks right at Cleve. Cleve's like, don't worry, I'm going to be hawking all this shit that you gave my sister.
He's like, I got a busy day of selling shit. Like, I thought I had a bankroll before. Whew.
And then they walk off and go dancing. That's it.
That's it, guys. Foxy Brown. Wait, Foxy Brown.
No, Foxy Brown was our most popular episode of all time. This will be our new most popular episode.
Clearly.
Because, hey, even bots love Pam Grier.
They really do. I don't know. Something about that name just pops up bots.
I don't know. I would like to think that they're legitimate listens, but then in a way it makes me sad. Like, oh, you're listening to that, and then you like, no, I don't need any more of this show. No, I've had my fill.
Well, Mike was on that one, so maybe that's what they're there for.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can get him back on. We're working on it, so we might have him back on the show. I don't know what we're doing next week.
Oh, we're gonna leave. Should we have it as a surprise.
We might as well because I honestly don't know what we're doing.
Okay.
It's up in the air. So,
Yeah.
rest assured, Blaxploitation History Month is continuing.
I like what you did there, breast assure. Because Pam Grier has big boobs. I see what you did there.
I didn't even know I said that. That's how funny I am. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe by Sunday when all you guys are like on our Twitter page going reload, we're waiting for my preview. You'll get it. I don't know, but all I do know it's going to be great. And hey, if you're like, I need more Blaxploitation as told by G&G Theater, this is our second year, so you can always go back. By the way, we did Rudy Ray Moore before it was cool to do Rudy Ray Moore. We did Disco Godfather. We did, like you said earlier, Foxy Brown.
It's true.
We did Action Jackson. We did a Steve James movie.
I just remember Action Jackson taking 2 hours because once you start talking Carl Weathers, you can't stop.
We were weathered by that.
He is the Pringles of action, man.
So if you're new to us and you think this is a new thing, no. We've always, because we're two proud young black men, and we want you to know what's going on. So you can check those out. You're going to have to scroll way down because it was a year ago, but it'll be worth it. Well, maybe put it up on our YouTube. How's our YouTube going, Griff?
It's there.
How many uploads? How many
You
videos?
think I look at that?
How many? No, I don't care about that. How many videos do we have up?
Oh no, we just have 2.
Well, work on that. Put up Foxy Brown. Put up Foxy Brown. We'll see if the bots on YouTube will like that. I'm rambling, so we're going to end this right now, and we're going to keep it warm.